Welcome to the Chancellor Staff Excellence Award podcast. I'm Keith Miller, your host. Today we recognize Jamie Ludwig, Assistant Director of Animal Support Operations in the Animal Care Program. Jamie's dedication has advanced her leadership role, where she drives improvements and enhances animal welfare. Jamie played a key role in implementing an electronic medical record system, boosting efficiency and communication across facilities. Her training programs for staff and students are marked by patience and adaptability. Her partnership with Parkland College has integrated laboratory animal medicine into her curriculum. Jamie's outreach efforts further promote humane animal use in research and teaching, strengthening her department's reputation.
My name is Jamie Ludwig, a CSEA award winner, and I am an Illinois professional.
Join us as we delve into Jamie Ludwig's impactful journey. Welcome, Jamie, to the CSEA Award Podcast. All right, so thanks for chatting with me today. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we'll go ahead and get right into it. What inspired you to pursue a career in animal care?
Well, I would say that anybody that's ever met me knows that animals have always been a passion of mine. Since the time I was old enough to know what I wanted to be when I grew up, it definitely was going to be a veterinarian. Yeah. But I will say that, 22 years in, I'm still not a veterinarian, but I am not upset by that at all. I went to Parkland College and pursued a degree in veterinary technology and graduated and went right out into private practice and then found my way into biomedical research.
How long have you been in animal care at the university and then maybe even outside too?
So I graduated Parkland in 2000, so 24 years. I've been actively working as a veterinary technician and worked in private practice for about 6 months. And then I found my way to the teaching hospital and I was there for a few years. I left there and then ended up back in private practice. And I really, really loved that work. But I needed to get back to Monday through Friday and benefits and such. So I found my way to my current position, and I'm 18 years in.
That is awesome. That's awesome. So what kind of animals do you work with?
So for me personally, my current job's mostly mice and rats. We do have some dogs and cats that we work with, but one of my primary roles is researcher teaching and training. So I work directly with researchers, their lab members, undergrads, postdocs, vet students to teach them how to properly handle the animals. So a lot of mouse work and rats. I really like rats. I just don't get to handle them as much. But anything from blood collections to injection techniques to handling and just knowing what's healthy and what's not feeling well. So
that's great. That's great. Do you work with a lot of students day to day?
Yes, quite a bit. I would say at least 2 to 3 times a week I'm working with undergrads that are joining lab teams, and then a couple of times a year we have veterinary students that rotate through. Something I'm really proud of is the last 2 years we were able to incorporate a externship program with Parkland College vet tech students.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it's received some really positive feedback. The students that join our team for 6 weeks just want to stay in touch all the time. We actually hired one this past spring, so really happy to have her on board. And the other 2 that just finished their externships this summer, I feel like they may be coming back at some point too.
So talk about that. You've trained a lot of students and staff. What is your approach? How do you mentor or teach these people coming in?
One thing that's very different about working with undergrads and research personnel is they don't have veterinary knowledge. They haven't been through any formal veterinary training, so you can't assume that they already know anything. So I like to take a slow step-by-step approach and just get them comfortable. Sometimes it's really just as simple as getting them comfortable with there's a mouse in that cage. And then all the way up to handling, and then even syringe handling skill and all of that has to come along. So I would say step it down, break it down into as many small pieces as you can. And it really is quite a bit of a challenge to determine who needs to know what. And sometimes the subject that's being trained is there's a lot of steps to it. And then it's like, well, how much information is too much information to give
Yeah.
you right now? So how do I break it down? So as it stands right now, I currently have 2 pretty routine training sessions happening where students can sign up. And the first one is simply, I just call it Mouse 101. And Mouse 101 focuses on this is a mouse. This is how the mouse is housed. This is some general information about the mouse. And then this is how you handle the mouse. And then we go into, some sick versus healthy and some common medical conditions that can come up, and then how we handle them. And then I take it further into our veterinary practice and how we monitor the animals, the role that our husbandry staff plays in observing the animals daily, and the role that our vet techs play in assessing the animals and determining prognosis and outcomes, and then all the way to treatment options and how do we best serve your research and how do we make sure that the animal's welfare is upheld as well as your research quality.
Exactly. Do you see a lot of misconceptions about mice and rats?
I would say sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not super often, but every once in a while I'll come across a person who needs to learn how to do something and they're just like, oh my gosh, that's a mouse.
Yeah.
And, having worked with rodents for 18 years, I will say that I'm even startled by a mouse running across, the barn. So once I know what it is, I'm fine. But, it's just that natural innate thing.
Yes.
So occasionally I'll come across a student that is just, and then I think part of it is they're under a lot of pressure. They have goals. They want to meet their advisor's needs. They want to reach their study goals. And then they're just overwhelmed by the fact that they're nervous at this step. So exposure is really important. I work with them on, just taking the time to get comfortable with, yes, it's a mouse. And yeah, it could bite you, but it's not going to intentionally, on purpose, attack you. So patience is really important, and just giving them lots and lots of encouragement, and then just working with them. Sometimes it takes multiple steps. So
you got to be supportive. You got to be really supportive throughout the whole process.
Yeah,
I like that you give them, that you break it down bits by bit. So there's no surprises. That's really nice. That's nice. That's good to hear.
And I like to take the approach that once they've met with me, they always have me as a resource.
Yeah.
So this isn't the only time we have to meet. It's not the only time you have to learn this.
Yep.
So please reach out. Please let me know what the future needs are, and we'll do this as many times as we need to.
Yeah. You have people circling back, and like, hey, that's great. So what does a typical day-to-day look like for you?
Well, I would say right now, a lot of my day is coming in and checking out my inbox and seeing what's coming up. A lot of things are scheduled. I try to have the trainings pretty structured to where, those are certain days a week. And now that I'm in a supervisory role, that's fairly new to me. So there's sometimes some sidebars that have to take some of my day, but I come in and just try to be a resource to my staff and continue to meet the goals and discuss future goals and grow that team into the positions where we need them.
That's great. Do you have a day that you felt most proud to be an Illinois professional? Do you have one day sticks out to you?
That's a really great question, because I'm proud of a lot of days that I'm here. And I think I would say it doesn't necessarily have to do with specific work that I've done, but I do feel really proud when postdocs, when they graduate and they move on and they defend and then they come back and they tell me goodbye. That's really important to me.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so you've talked about the Parkland partnership. What inspired that initiative?
Well, one of the things that made this happen is just the knowledge that there's a shortage of vet techs, both nationally, both in private practice, both in biomedical research, and I would say that for a long, long time, the research community is fairly quiet about the work that we do, and unfortunately, it does center around some of the the public perception. So we are really focusing on transparency, trying to, we're proud of the work that we do, and the work that we do leads to incredible advancements for both humans and animals.
Yeah.
And I think that when I went through the Parkland program, I remember the career options being, I would say, sort of limited. Like a lot of people go into the field thinking puppies, kittens, dogs, cats, private practice. Yep. This is what we do. But I was surprised when I joined the research team, and I didn't consider it as a 18, 20-year-old person. It was never something I thought I would do, but it's the best decision I made. So I think that I wanted to impress that upon future vet techs, that this is a viable career option, lots of room for advancement, lots of room for growth. And, for me personally, I feel like I am part of something bigger than myself every single day.
Yeah. That's great. That is great. There's way more avenues than what people think. How do you think your role relates to the overall mission of the university?
Yeah, I think that research in general is a really, really big part of the university.
Yeah.
And I think being able to produce good research is even more important. And the only way that we are able to meet all of those goals is to have properly trained individuals. So I have researchers that continually send their staff. Researchers can train their own individual lab members, but they choose to send them to me for consistency. I'm a big fan of consistency. A big fan of if they know what's expected of them, then we aren't going to run into compliance concerns.
Yep.
So I would say the training has probably been the most impactful part of my.
That's great. That is great. So, hey, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you again for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Illinois Professional. If interested in nominating somebody for a campus staff award, there's a link in the description for more information. And be sure to follow @IllinoisHR on Twitter for inspirational and informational posts.